So they say calisthenics guys skip leg day a lot. Well, I must admit I never actually planned a leg day in the first place. What is going on, guys? Welcome to Barrookie. In today's video we're going to talk about the anatomy of the knee joint. So the knee joint is a very prone to injury type of joint. So if you look at any sports that has a little bit of movement, we always see knee joint injuries popping up, whether it be an ACL tear or a hamstring tear or anything that goes around the meniscus or something like that. There's always something wrong with the knee. The knee is a very important joint, but it needs to be taken care of. So today we're not only going to talk about the muscles, because then the video would be very short, because there aren't a lot of muscles and they aren't too complicated. But we're also going to talk about the ligaments to really understand the inner workings of the knee. And with that knowledge, we can better understand why it's important to train our knees and why it's important to keep them healthy. We're going to talk first about the bone structure. So the bone structure, you have the upper thigh bone, which we already discussed in the hips. Then we have the shin bone or the tibia. And then we also have the patella. Those three parts make up the knee. Now, in between the femur and the tibia, we have three types of ligaments. The first one is the meniscus. The meniscus is a sort of like a cushion in between your thigh bone and your shin bone. And what it does is it enlarges the contact surface between these two bones. That way you have less friction and the movement is super smooth. Also, when you're standing, it provides enough stability so that the bones can really just rest on top of each other without too much muscular force. And they also have a dampening effect. So if you're walking, if you're running, that is really going to act as a cushioning, so that the bones don't hit each other, but they hit the cushioning of the meniscus. Next to that is a very injury-prone ligament, and that is the ACL and the PCL. So ACL stands for anterior cruciate ligament, and PCL stands for posterior cruciate ligament. So these are actually a cross type of ligament. So the ACL starts at the top of your femur, crosses into the bone structure, and then attaches to the backside of the shin bone. And the PCL attaches to the back of the femur and comes on front to the front of the shin bone. That ligament really keeps your upper leg and your lower leg together. So that is really the connection between those two bony parts. And what it also does is that it counteracts endorotation and exorotation. So it makes sure that your underleg or your shin bone doesn't really shift from left to right too much. So it really makes sure that it keeps it aligned. What the ACL and the PCL also counteract is movement front to back of the shin bone. So this is also where the injuries happen. If your foot is stuck somewhere and you turn your leg around and your foot keeps on staying, you're actually doing an endo or exorotation. And because you're going beyond what your ACL or PCL can handle, that's where usually you hurt that ligament in the first place. So that gives you an understanding of why these injuries happen, because the function of that ligament is really to resist rotation. So if you rotate too much on your knee joint, that is going to be catastrophic for those ligaments as well. And then we also have the collateral ligaments, the medial collateral ligament and the lateral collateral ligaments, and these lay to the side of your knee joint. And what they are going to do is they're going to resist the urge of the lower leg to just flimps from left to right. So they're actually going to counteract that and keep the knee nice and stable. Now let's dive into the function of the patella. If you see the patella, you would think, hey, that is just like a capsule for your knee and it's going to protect your knee for impact. this might be true, but actually that is not the real reason why we have a patella. What the patella does is it enlarges the angle at which the quadriceps can pull on the knee. It's actually making sure that the quadriceps are at a biomechanical advantage so that you can extend your leg as easy as possible without too much effort. And that is also what allows us to walk. Now let's think about why injuries typically happen. Well, your muscles do a very good job to stabilize your knee. But if you go beyond fatigue levels and if you really exhaust your muscles can't really protect your knee joint anymore because they're too tired. And what then happens is you put all the stress and you put all the responsibility on the ligaments, which are not made to withstand that much force. And when that happens, they are going to be hit directly because the muscles can't do their job, and that is usually when injuries happen. Yeah, let's go into functional anatomy and let's go and look at the planes and let's explain the muscles. So if we're talking about the sagittal plane, we have extension of the knee joint, and that is done with the quadriceps. Those are large muscles that run in the front of your leg, and they go even almost to the side of your leg too. So they really encapsulate the biggest part of your upper thigh. Flexion, on the other hand, is done mainly by the hamstrings, the medial bundles and the lateral bundles. So the medial bundles lay closer to the midline, and those are two bundles that run from the shin bone all the way to your femur and your hip. And then you have also the lateral bundles. And then you have the gastrocnemius, or the calf muscle, that is also going to act as a flexor of the knee. So the gastrocnemius is biarticular, so that means that it encapsulates two joints, the ankle joint and the knee joint, so it's also going to help their inflection. And then when it comes to the transversal plane, we have endo and exo rotation. Endo rotation is done primarily with the medial bundles of the hamstrings, and exo rotation is done by the lateral bundles of the hamstrings. So these are really the muscles, the hamstrings, the quadriceps, and a little bit of the calf muscles. Now, if we look at how these muscles are laying, we see that they are laying in a track. You have like your leg and you have two sides. You have the medial and the lateral side. And it's so important that these sides are trained in balance, so that not one part is pulling more on the knee than the other one, because when that happens, you're going to really make sure that there's tension within the knee joint. And when there's tension, there's friction, and friction can lead to all kinds of injuries in the future. So we really want to take care of our knee joints. If we feel pains and aches because of use, not because of an impact injury, but because of use, we really should focus on keeping these muscles in equal tightness and make sure that they are very strong. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you liked this video. I hope you got something out of this. This was the anatomy of the knee joint, a little bit more in depth than the other ones that we talked about, but it's because we need to take care of our knees so much. So let me know in the comments down below what I missed or what you thought of this video, and please hit a like, hit a subscribe if you think I earned it, and maybe just share it with a friend if you think he can learn from this. So I'll be seeing you all in the next video. Peace!